Yes, so today we are starting the effect on demand. Now, the effect on demand can be divided into two parts. Demand is affected because of the change in price, and the demand is affected because of the change in factors other than price. ડિમાન્ડ ઉપર બે રીતે ઇફેક્ટ થાય. કાં તો પ્રાઇસમાં ચેન્જ થાય એને કારણે ડિમાન્ડ ઉપર ઇફેક્ટ થશે, or the factors other than price may change and that can cause the effect on demand. Say for example, change in price. Price 5 rupees માંથી ઇન્ક્રીઝ થઈને 7 rupees થઈ ગયા, તો એ ચેન્જ ઇન પ્રાઇસ કહેવાય. એને કારણે ડિમાન્ડ ઉપર ઇફેક્ટ આવે. પ્રાઇસ 5 માંથી 7 થયા તો ડિમાન્ડ decrease થઈ જશે, because price increases, demand decreases. That is change in price. Now we can call about the factors other than price. Now factors other than price means what? All those factors other than price. It can be income, it can be test and preference, it can be population, it can be the distribution of national income, or any other factors. They are considered as factors other than price. Say for example, income of the consumer increases, and as a result of increase in the income of the consumer, the demand goes on increasing. So here effect on demand is created because of income, and income is factor other than price. So there are two things that can affect the demand. One is price that can affect the demand. Another is factors other than price that can affect demand. Now, when price is affecting the demand, we have named it as change in quantity demanded. When the effect is created because of the change in price, it will be named as change in quantity demanded. But when it is because of factor other than price, it will be named as change in demand. Once again, if it is the change because of price, it will be known as change in quantity demanded. If it is change because of other than price, it will be named as change in demand. Now, when there is a change in quantity demanded, when there is change in quantity demanded, the effect on demand curve will be known as expansion and contraction in demand. The effect on demand curve will be known as expansion and contraction in demand. But when there is a change because of other factor, the effect on demand curve will be known as increase or a decrease in demand. If it is because of price, it is expansion and contraction in demand. If it is because of factors other than price, it will be known as increase, decrease in demand. Another name on the effect on demand curve is a movement along the same demand curve. When it is because of price, it will be known as movement along the same demand curve. And when it is because of factors other than price, it will be known as a shift of demand curve. So two things we have to remember. First, there is a change in price. If it is because of change in price, it will be known as change in quantity demanded. The effect on demand curve will be known as expansion and contraction in demand. And another name of the effect is movement along the same demand curve. Now, if it is because of change in factors other than price, it is known as change in demand. The effect on demand curve will be known as increase, decrease in demand. And another name is shift of demand curve. So these are the different names of the effect on demand. Then now let us understand these two factors in a descriptive manner. Now let us take the example what is called the effect on demand due to change in price. As you know that when there is effect on demand due to change in price, it is known as expansion and contraction in demand. Now, expansion and contraction in demand can be understood with the help of this diagram. Now, this diagram is given. So, for example, this is y-axis, and on y-axis price is given, on x-axis quantity is given. Suppose at the price of op, at the price of op, your demand is om, price is op and demand is om. At this particular level we can say this is point A. So you can see a point A is seen on the demand curve. OP price છે, OM quantity છે, આ બંનેને કનેક્ટ કરીએ તો we can see કે point A જેટલી લેવલ ઉપર એક પોઈન્ટ ક્રિએટ થયો ડિમાન્ડ કર્વ ઉપર, બરાબર. હવે suppose the price of the product is increased, price of the product is increased, it has become OP double dash. OP માંથી increase થઈને કેટલું થઈ ગયું? OP double dash price થઈ ગયા. As you know that when price of a product increases, the quantity demanded decreases. તો અહીંયા જોઈ શકાય છે કે quantity demanded decrease થઈ, quantity demanded decrease થઈને કેટલી થઈ ગઈ? OL થઈ ગઈ. તો હવે આ બંને પોઈન્ટને આપણે કનેક્ટ કરીએ તો અહીંયા આપણને મળશે પોઈન્ટ B. Now tell me કે અહીંયા quantity demanded decrease થઈ છે, yes or no? When there is decrease in quantity demanded, this is known as decrease in quantity demanded, it is known as contraction. This is known as what? This is contraction in demand. When there is decrease in quantity demanded, it is known as contraction. It is contraction in demand, or we can say decrease in quantity demanded. When price of the product increased, the quantity demanded decreased. When there is decrease in quantity demanded, it is known as contraction. Or we can say it is upward movement along the same demand curve. This is upward movement on the same demand curve. Is it clear to all? When there is increase in price, the point will move upward on the same demand curve. It is known as contraction. Now let us take another thing. When price of the product decreased, OP માંથી price decrease થઈને OP dash થઈ ગયા, price decrease. Now you know it very well. When price of the product decreases, quantity demanded increases. Quantity demanded has become ON. ON quantity demanded. Now let us connect these two lines. These lines are connected at this particular point. We name it point C. Now at point C, you can see that the quantity demanded has increased. When there is increase in quantity demanded, it is known as expansion. Now this is known as expansion in demand. And you can see that when there is an expansion in demand, when there is expansion in demand, It means that the point on the same demand curve is moving to downward. Now there is a downward movement on the same demand curve. When it is expansion, it is downward movement on the same demand curve. When it is contraction, it is upward movement on the same demand curve. Expansion, downward movement; contraction, upward movement. When there is decrease in quantity demanded, it is known as contraction. When there is increase in quantity demanded, it is known as expansion. Is the factor in which price changes, and because of the change in price, there is either expansion or contraction. Now we have understood this with the help of diagram. Let us describe all these things. So for example, there is increase in price or decrease in price. What will be the effect on that? When price is OP, whatever we have discussed here, when price is OP, the quantity demanded is OM. You can see price is OP, quantity demanded is OM, given other things equal. Now if as a result of increase in the price becomes OP double dash. As you can see, price becomes OP double dash. There is fall in quantity demanded. Fall in quantity demanded, or we can say decrease in quantity demanded. Fall in quantity demanded word વાપરાય કે decrease in quantity demanded, બધું એકની એક જ વાત છે. When there is a decrease in quantity demanded or fall in quantity demanded, there is contraction. Now this is known as contraction, or we can say there is upward movement on the same demand curve. Now when price increases, it causes contraction, it causes fall in quantity demanded, it causes upward movement along the same demand curve. Now let us take the example of price decrease. Similarly, as a fall in the price becomes OP dash. When price becomes OP dash, the quantity demanded increases, it becomes ON. And when there is rise in quantity demanded, it can be called rise in quantity demanded or increase in quantity demanded. When quantity demanded rises, it is known as expansion of demand. Now this is known as expansion of demand, and it is also known as downward movement on the same demand curve, or it is known as rise in quantity demanded. So any name can be given. You have to remember these names. It can be downward movement on the same demand curve. It can be rise in quantity demanded. It can be expansion in demand. So these all take place because of the change in price. So when there is change in price, the movement along the same demand curve takes place. As you know that this is the effect because of change in price. Now let us take another thing, that is effect due to factors other than price. And when there is effect due to factors other than price, it is known as increase decrease in demand. That was expansion contraction in demand. Now this is titled as increase decrease in demand. Now as you know that increase decrease in demand takes place because of factors other than price. Here we have assumed the factor of income. We have taken two examples, when income was 4,000 rupees and when income increased to 5,000 rupees. For example, at the price of 5 rupees, when income was 4,000, our demand was 10. But at the same price of 5 rupees, when income increased to 5,000, our demand increased to 15. Now let us put this on the diagram. Now you can see at the in price of 5 rupees, when our income was 4,000, the demand was 10 unit. So the point connected here, point A. But when income increased from 4,000 to 5,000, our demand increased at the same price. Price was 5 only, but our demand increased because of income. Because of rise in income, our demand became 15 units. You can see 15 here. When demand increased to 15 units, the point connects here. The point A1 is there. So we can see the rightward shift of the demand curve. This is right side shift or rightward shift of the demand curve. Now let us assume at the price of 4 rupees, when our income was 4,000, demand was 15. But at the same price of 4 rupees, our income increased to 5,000 rupees. The demand became 20. Now again you can see the point here at the price of 4, demand was 15. So point connected here, point B. But when income increased, our demand increased. Our demand increased. It became 20. It became 20. So the point connected here at B1. Now again you can see the right side shift. So we can conclude here that when there is increase in the income, there is increase in income, the demand increases. When demand increases, the demand curve shifts right side. This is right side shift of the demand curve. When the demand curve shifts right side, it means that there is increase in demand. But if we see this reverse, when income decreased from 5,000 to 4,000, suppose અહીંયા income છે 5,000 માંથી decrease થઈને 4,000 થઈ ગઈ હોય, તો આ same demand કહું છે એ left side shift થશે. બરોબર? When there is left side shift, બરોબર? અહીંયા હું લખું છું left side. તો left side shift થયું હોય તો એનો મતલબ શું થયો? તો કે there is decrease in demand. અહીંયા increase in demand થયું શેને કારણે? તો because of income increase થઈ એને કારણે demand increase થઈ રહી છે. ઓકે, ઇન્કમ સિવાયના બીજા કોઈ પણ ફેક્ટરને કારણે ડિમાન્ડ ઇન્ક્રીઝ થઈ હોય તો એ રાઈટ સાઈડ શિફ્ટ થશે ડિમાન્ડ કર્વ, અને બીજા કોઈ પણ ફેક્ટરને કારણે ડિમાન્ડ જો ડિક્રીઝ થઈ હોય તો ડિમાન્ડ કર્વ will shift left side. So when there is increase in demand, demand curve will shift right side. When there is a decrease in demand, demand curve will shift left side. We can present it likewise. This is increase in demand. You can see the demand curve shifts right side. Original demand curve was D1 D1. Original demand curve was D1 D1, but because of increase in demand, the new demand curve is D2 D2. Now this new demand curve is on the right side. This is right side shift, and when there is a right side shift in the demand, we can say that there is increase in demand. Now when there is increase in demand, it is right side shift, and we can see left side shift here. At this particular diagram, original demand curve was D1, but the new demand curve D2 is there. This is left side shift. When the demand curve shifts left side, this is decrease in demand. This is known as decrease in demand. So when demand decreases, demand curve shifts left side, and when demand increases, demand curve shifts right side. So right side shift, demand is increased, left side shift, demand is decreased. Movement along the same demand curve and shift of demand curve. Let us compare it. When there is movement along the same demand curve, it is because of change in the price. There is change in quantity demanded because of change in price. Other factors remain the same. But when it is about the shift of demand curve, when it is about the shift of demand curve, it means that the shift of demand curve indicates there is a change in demand at each possible price because of one or more other factors, such as income is changed, taste and preference is changed, or any other price of other goods have changed. The price of other goods, it may be substitute good or it may be complementary goods. So because of change in that price of other goods will also be considered in the shift of demand curve. So movement along the same demand curve takes place because of the change in price, and a shift of demand curve takes place because of factors other than price. So these two things are there. When there is factors other than price, it will be shift of curve, and when there is change in price, it will be known as movement along the same demand curve. So this is the effect on demand curve. Fine.